All right, Dr. Andrew, thank you for graciously accepting to be part of tonight's conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the IB Experience Unfiltered. And tonight we are looking at another very interesting conversation. Don't forget, we are on a series where we are dissecting, folding, and unfolding romance to gain a better understanding of what it is all about. And tonight, with me to look at it again from another perspective, this time in contradistinction with core values, we have with us a theologian. Dr. Andrews' profile is particularly intimidating. And you will agree with me when I'm done introducing him. Theologian, entrepreneur, relationship consultant, philanthropist, leadership coach. Through the Andrew Foundation, he supports orphanages across the Niger Delta, has a degree in professional counseling from the Institute of Counseling, Glasgow, Scotland. He has his Bachelor of Arts in from Life Leadership University. He has 2 PhDs, one in Christian counseling, another in philosophy and religion. If we want to do a judicious work on his profile, then we're going to be on for another couple of minutes. But ladies and gentlemen, join me, let's receive a life coach and a personality profiler, Dr. Bernard Andrew. Thank you for graciously joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me, Apostle Marcin, and thank you everyone for joining us on this amazing IB experience. I have been a fan of everything about Apostle IB, and I am honored to be part of the conversation today. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, sir. And so tonight, sir, we are looking at our commitment is to help us understand romance better than we already do. Our commitment, our understanding is that our belief is that the better we understand romance, the better we can do marriage fruitfully, the better our families will be productive, the more fulfilling we are going to be. I am of the school of thought that romance is misunderstood. And so we want to look at the subject of romance, especially as it relates all versus core values. If you saw my introduction of this subject, I made reference to a 79-year-old American singer and actress. Her name is Cher. She was quoted as saying that the trouble with women is that they get all excited about nothing and then they marry him. Dr. Andrew, I would like to find out, in your view, what is the place of romance in negotiating relationships?
Thank you very much for the question. I find the topic we are discussing this evening fascinating. Fascinating because the two issues in the topic are very profound. Number one is romance and the other is core value. Now, what is the place of romance in relationship? Well, romance is a spark. At the heart of it, it's a spark. And depending on what you do with a spark, it can either keep you alive or destroy your life. Every spark can either keep you alive or destroy your life. Grammatically, romance has been defined in its basic form. Romance has been defined as a feeling of love. Don't take the word feeling out of it. If there is no feeling, there is no romance. So in its elementary stage, like any other feeling, like you feel like eating, romance is a feeling. What do you do with the feeling? That's why I said it's a spark that can either keep you alive or take your life. It's a spark. So it is relevant because it does what sparks does. It gives you fire. It gives you passion. It gives you energy. It gives you a reason to laugh. And for me, the most beautiful thing about romance is, if done well in marriage, it helps you create memories that can sustain your marriage when erection has long died, when the boobies are bowing down and worshiping God permanently, like taking a permanent position of worship. The memories that are created from romance will always remind you that you had more than sex, you had more than the shape, you had more than the complexion. At its core, that is what romance is for me. Romance is there not only to spark up and spice up your relationship, but if handled well, it creates memories that will sustain the relationship in the days and months and years to come, when there is little or no fire, when there is little or no physical or emotional energy to go on. It creates a memory that you live on. I'll give an example, and then I would pick up my pulse. A lot of times, what we love about our parents is not who our parents are. Every child believes that their parents are divine. Last year, my daughter told me that when she was growing up, she thought I don't used to fart. That when our elder brother told her I used to fart, she told the brother, "How can daddy fart? Daddy cannot fart. Daddy does not mess. It's not possible for daddy to mess." That it was years later she heard me mess and she said, "Oh, wow. So daddy too can mess." And I had a very, very good laugh when she said that. Now, why did I bring this story? As you get older and find out that your parents are human, what keeps your commitment going in that relationship you have with them is the fact that you remember the times you were growing up, all the things they did for you, all the things they are to you, all the sacrifices they made for you. The memory is why when you have money, you want to remember them. You want to stand by them. It is not the action, it's the memory. After a while, they stop breaking their head over you, or you break your head over them. Why? Memory. That is at the heart of romance, or a man of relationship. It is helping you build enough memory that will keep you going when every other thing has been exhausted.
Profound thoughts, sir. Profound. A spark keeps you alive or it kills you. Profound
Take that.
thoughts.
Yes.
And then you sounded like love as a department.
Mm.
That department is the feeling department,
Oh,
and
yes. Love
romance is
incomplete
that
without
feeling.
feeling. This is where I always seek balance. If you go to the East, when I mean the East, the Eastern bloc of the world, Asia, Northern Africa, all of this part make up Eastern part of the world. Eastern Europe, Part of Eastern Europe falls into the eastern part of the world. Now, if you go there, they tell you love is just commitment. And they are 100% correct. But brother, in the totality of God's creation, anything you do not admire, you do not fight to sustain. That is part of the role of romance, where the feeling comes in. You have to feel for it for you to fight for it. You have to feel something for it for you to want to fight for it. Remember, I use the word, it's a feeling of love. And I like your emphasis. Love is broad, love is complex. Love has different branches, but we cannot totally rule out that it is a feeling.
Wow, profound thoughts. If you don't feel it, you can't fight for it.
Yes, sir.
You got to feel it, otherwise, there'll be nothing to
All
fight
right.
for.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Profound thoughts. And then you also said, when erection fails, it is the memories created by
Oh,
romance
yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
that
Oh,
keeps the relationship going. Therefore, the feelings factor of love, of relationship, of marriage cannot be taken for granted, cannot
oh
be
yes.
overemphasized. It's so
There was
important.
my wife and I had a misunderstanding. The misunderstanding lasted for over 4 months. Over 4 months. My wife kept telling me after we had reconciled, she said to me, at the heat of the misunderstanding, it was the early years of our marriage. She said she would always remember where we are coming from and remind herself that I love her. Hence, this misunderstanding will pass. She would always remind herself, what is she reminding herself about? Where we are coming from. That is the creation of romance. So she looks back and says, oh, this man and I went through this. He said this, he kept his word, he did this for me. No, this problem will pass. It looks like it's very serious. The heavens want to fall. This man loves me. So I'm just saying all of this to buttress what you are emphasizing, that yes, feeling. I have been part of talks where people say marriage doesn't need feeling, particularly old school fathers. They say marriage feeling doesn't count. No, you may have married that way, but every relationship, to some extent, feeling plays a role in why you are willing to fight to sustain it.
I like your school of thought, and it tempts me. Do we have control over feelings?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. That is why it's a feeling, what you feel. Paul said the spirit of a prophet is subject to the prophet, that because of what he is striving for. I'm paraphrasing in 1 Corinthians 9. He said, I put my body under control. Feeling is in the senses, and the senses, sensuality predominates in the flesh. Feeling can be kept under control. Brother, I'll give you an example why I say feeling can be kept under control. Um, a lot of times when people cheat, it is always sweet. When they are caught, it is the devil. I have never, ever heard of man or woman who is enjoying sex, whether legally or illegally, when fire is burning in the house. Why? There is the feeling of, I need to come now. I want to come. When you hear fire, 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 the come will go. With it, that come will go. Because you are thinking, I don't want to die here. I will live to come another day. As an example, sometimes we fool ourselves to say, oh, I could not control it. No, you did not work hard enough to control it. Yeah, some people have struggles with discipline. I don't want to say that everybody has the same measure of discipline, tenacity towards discipline. No, no, no. That would be a lie. But as a general principle, can it be controlled? Can our feelings be controlled? The answer is 100% yes.
Let me take it to the next level. Now, one of the reasons why I asked if these feelings can be controlled, I've had people say that you're not always going to feel in love. I've had
Mhm,
people say that you're not going to always wake up every morning and feel the passion, feel the romance,
mhm.
feel that connection with your partner. Now, the question then is, if you wake up in the morning and you don't feel like it, can you make yourself feel like it? Can we control feeling to the point where we can choose how we feel? So if I wake up and I don't feel like it, are there things I can do to feel like it?
Okay. First, can we control how we feel in the context of marriage and your everyday life? Are there things to do to control how we feel? Well, you can choose to feel excited every day if you are determined to be committed to that cause. I'll give an example. There are times you feel so bad and depressed. We are men. I mean, a wise man once told me that the day a child starts to worry, he stops being a child. So if children become mature by learning to worry, let alone older men who are thinking school fees, thinking house rent, thinking fuel money for car, thinking all sorts of things. Now, you would not say because the pressures of life is on you, you will not eat. The most you can do when you lost your mother or your father is to cry for some days and miss them. If nobody tell you sorry, one day you will stand up, clean your eye, and you go and eat. Why? Why? Because there will be the longing to survive. So you see, that alone tells you that you have control over these things because it's how we are created. Now, why do feeling dissipates in relationship? It dissipates oftentimes in relationship because we feel, again, we feel that the pursuit, what we are pursuing, we have gotten it. Remember when you started, everything is an enigma. Everything about the person is exciting. The way the person talks, the way the person laughs. You've been seeing the person laugh. You are in the same church for the past 5 years. The minute you pick interest in the person, suddenly the laughter is something else. Nobody can laugh like the person. Even the way the person walks into church, you can count the steps. And the person will be surprised. You mean you know the number of steps I take to church? Now, where does the feeling die off? Because two things happen. And this may come as a surprise, my brother. As you start living together, when the phase we call romantic phase, PHASE, is waning off, something comes up. And why is it waning off? What our local brothers call see finish. Before the see finish, you are not living together. You don't see him mess. You don't see him insult people. You don't see him get angry. You don't see him eat and belt. He is always prim and proper, like my daughter believing her father does not mess. Everything is perfect. Then when she finish comes in, this man or this woman you deify every day reminds you that he has feet of clay. Everything is not golden like I thought. if you stone that leg very hard, it may crack. Now, with this, the disrespect in a subtle way starts coming in. You start taking him for granted. You start reminding yourself that he's predictable. Oh, I know what he will do next. Romance is sustained in the environment of unpredictability. What will he get from me next? Where will he take me to next? What will he do next? What will he say next? Romance thrives in unpredictability. That excitement, you don't know what to expect. How will she dress next? How will she act next? Oh my God, the way she compliments me, her eyes, the way she looks at me. Now you have all of those things at home, pressed and shaking together and running over. And suddenly, I don't scam now, waiting remain there. So you see, you start taking yourselves for granted. Now, how do you break this cycle? You break this cycle by the discipline of self-talk and the commitment, the discipline of self-talk and the commitment to always see your wife as beautiful, to always see your husband as beautiful. Let me break it down further. What is the discipline of self-talk? Brother, no matter how much you want to keep shape, you must always eat if you don't die. Even if you hate carbohydrates, you will eat protein. So no matter who you lost, I lost my elder sister. I have not recovered from it after almost 1 year. But guess what? It has not stopped me from eating. Does that mean I don't love her? Well, if you think so, God forgive you. Why? I know that if I want to mourn her, I need energy to be able to mourn her. So eating is part of that. You see, eating is fundamental to mourning her. So I talk myself into it. Oh, there are times I'll skip meals because I am drained in thinking. In the book of Daniel, the Bible talked about the king not eating pleasant meal, but he ate. Brother, he ate. He was mourning the death of Daniel, supposedly, but he ate, except that the meal was not pleasant. Why? Because you need this energy to sustain yourself. In relation to marriage, I have always stood on the ground that things will not go well every time. My brother, we are married. There are times when we newly got married, having sex every two minutes is all we dream of. When we're doing premarital counseling, we are thinking of how to undress the sister. After a while, a few years down the line, she is even naked and shaking her breast before you. You look at her, you will ask her, are you okay? That is the same breast that she will shake before. You will just have erection like a bull. Like, who is that mountain before Zerubbabel? I'm taking you down. Now she's shaking it and you're wondering, sister, are you okay? The same thing, different reaction. At that point, what sustains you is reminding yourself that this woman is always beautiful and whatever she's doing for me. That is where the commitment comes in sustaining the feeling of romance. That talk, another way I can drive it home is no matter how old your child gets, your child will leave the house. God bless you with some beautiful girls. I've been privileged to see them. As a father, you pray they get married and go. Brother, after they have given birth, after they have become grandmothers, if you hear they are sick or they are in an accident, you will have BP. But they have left your house. They are married. Why? Because there is an eternal commitment inside of you to be responsible for them. It's not something you switch on and switch off. It's something you chose and became. In the same vein, romance feeling is sustained with self-talk because the more you talk to yourself, the more you act it out. and that commitment to say, this is not for now, it is forever. So with this, I think we can keep the feeling alive.
Thank you. I like that. I like the fact that you made reference to self-talk.
Mm.
We can we can almost always get ourselves to feel a certain way
Yeah.
depending on what we say to ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that for me is profound. Now let's take this conversation a little in the direction of those who are preparing to come into the marriage,
Mm.
especially especially as it relates to how they negotiate relationships. Now, we already talked about Lady Cher, who said the trouble with women is that they get all excited about nothing and then they get married to him. And then after getting married to him, they're wondering how they got involved in that. Now, let me quote another lady. This other lady is 99 years old,
Mm.
or was 99 years old at the point of death. Sasa Gabor. Sasa
Mm.
Gabor is an Hungarian American socialite and actress. She was quoted as saying, getting divorced just because you don't love a man is almost as silly as getting married just because you do.
Mm.
I repeat, she said getting divorced just because you don't love a man is almost as silly as getting married just because you do. Now
Yeah.
the question is, when we are negotiating relationships, when we are about to get into relationships, to what extent should we prioritize romance? Now, when she said getting divorced just because you don't love a man is almost as silly as getting married just because you do, she seemed to be saying just feeling in love, just a romantic connection should not be the basis why you marry a man, as well as it should not be the basis, its absence should not be the basis why you leave a man. The question then is, where does it come in? What pride of place should we give to it? How important is it compared to other factors that could as well be important or more important?
Okay. Thank you for that lovely question. To put it in one sentence before we look at core values, which is where your question is tilting towards. Sir, and to all our listeners today and tomorrow, I began by saying romance is a feeling and a spark. Brother, if you want to cook and you strike a matches, the matches creates the spark. It is not the matches that sustains the fire. If you don't have firewood for our local families, you don't have the gas or you don't have the kerosene, as you strike that match, eventually it will go off and the matter ends. But for you to connect to that gas, to that firewood, to that kerosene, you need the spark. As important as the spark in the first step, the spark is not the basis for the cooking of your meal. Romance, it's like the matches. Other things, it's like your gas that the romance sparks to cook the meal. Having said that, what do you need if you are coming in? First and foremost, let's begin by asking, why do people want to get married? Before this generation, let me not call it a crazy generation, because I am sure our grandparents feel our own generation is crazy too. So before this generation, um, relationship was understood, albeit not directly communicated. Relationship was understood to be a negotiation of some sort. You come in knowing full well that you are coming in with something, to give something, to do something, to be part of something. 4, 5, 600 years ago, only the rich marry the rich. Why? Because before they take your daughter or give you their son, they are asking themselves in the next 4, 5, 6 generations, what will this union produce? It's always there. So there is a sense of negotiation when it comes to relationship. Why? Because they always look at the big picture. Now, having said that, are you with me, sir? Okay.
Sure, sure.
Yeah. Having said that, bringing it home, when we think of relationship, as you begin, you will fail woefully if all there is to your relationship is it gives, as it passes by, I became wet. It gives me butterfly in my bellies. You will forever be wet. You will never be dry because it works. And the Bible said, while the earth remains, there will be summer and winter. So if you're always in winter, cold will kill you. So where am I going to with that? What makes it work? Again, like you highlighted, they are values. The woman, the man, you may not communicate it. This is where a lot of people going into relationship make huge mistakes. That they don't communicate it does not mean they don't expect it. People come into relationship to see how that union will make them better all around. And for people to be better all around, it must be built on values. It must be built on values. What are values? Values are sets of belief systems and principles without which you cannot function in your everyday life. It defines you, your existence, and where you are going to in life. Values are sets of beliefs and principles without which you cannot function effectively in life. It defines you, your existence, and your destination. So, having said that, if young people are coming into relationship, it is important to ask themselves, what do I stand for? What does he stand for? Where is he going to? We hear this a lot lately. They say when a man wants to marry, when a man tells his friends about a lady, they first ask, how does she look like? When a lady tells her friends about a man, they ask, what does she do? Codedly, they are literally asking you, what is his or her value? Codedly. Unfortunately, it is because of how far this generation has fallen. That is why the sum total of a woman to us is, how does she look like? It has to be corrected. How she looks like, as important as it is infinitesimal to how she functions mentally and emotionally. What does he do? Yes, it's good, but that is not the sum total of a man. It's a spark, but not the sum total of a man. So before you throw other questions, I would say that for relationship to work, go beyond the feelings and start asking yourself, what makes her emotionally, spiritually? What are her values? What are the things that makes her who she is? What are the things that makes him who he is? That without it, I know we can't go anywhere. If the person you are dating or you want to date can fall for anything, be rest assured he will never stand for anything. It is values, it is principles and beliefs that makes your husband, your fiancé, different from those outside. Otherwise, all men have penis. All men don't have boobs. All men have broad shoulders. What separates one from the other? In the heart of it is our belief system, our core values. And if you want to look for something that would last, that will stand the test of time, It is not feelings. It should be the person's principles and belief system.
Profound. Profound.
Thank you.
Now, I like the fact that you said a spark is enough to kickstart, propel, if you like, instigate a relationship. But the spark is not enough to sustain.
Never, never.
Now, it means that most of the times, it is the spark or romance is the spark that starts relationship. Then the question I will ask is this. If you are face to face with somebody and it does not appear that there is a romantic spark, but you find out that in terms of core values or values, there is a connection. In terms of values, there is a meeting point. But then when you look at the spark from the angle of romance, it is almost non-existent. In fact, let's say there's no attraction, there is no romantic connection, there's no emotional alignment, whatever you want to call it. What would you advise? Because right now, it looks like almost every other thing is where they ought to be. But when it comes to that romantic spark, it does not exist. What advice, what do you think somebody in that situation should be? Should they throw away all the core values, throw away all the nice things just because there is no spark? Or would they go on to negotiate and see whether the spark can come later? What would be a school of thought in that direction?
Thank you, Apostle. Your question is as complex as it is very simple. I'll tell you why. The mind of humans, not man in a generic sense, the mind of humans are very tricky. If you carry what you don't fancy strictly because of values, you will excel. But the day you see what you fancy, your legs will shudder and you may compromise. Because within every human, there is a longing to conquer. You see, romance is that spark that gives you a feeling of, I can get this. I can enjoy this. Me too, I can have this. That is where the hide and seek comes in. The cat and mouse game comes in. The fun of pursuing and conquering comes in. I wanted to put that out there. It's important to not underestimate the place of a spark. Having said that, it's also important to note that not all sparks comes at first look. It is very important that we know that not all spark comes at first look. I used to jokingly say, I'm about 5'7", 5'8". I used to jokingly say, if people look at me at face value, I've never married till now. I don't apologize to say that, because the average lady I've been interested in from time immemorial are the ones, for some weird reasons I don't know, they like the tall, dark, and handsome guys. So by their criteria, I don't meet up. Now, what changes it? This is in response to your question. As we talk, the more they see the values, they are forced to take a second look at what they say is not there. Where am I going to with this? Do not throw away values and principles because of shapes and sizes. But if all there is to the person you want to marry is shape and sizes, pause and take a while to interact until you find that spark. Remember the word spark. If this place is dark, you see spark for 3 seconds, 5 seconds, it gives you light. And that light imprints memory in your mind of what is in the room. Even though it will go dark again, you will tell yourself, I have seen what is in the room, and it is beautiful. So you see, it may look like something small, but it plays a major role. Finally, on this, a lot of times when people say spark doesn't matter much, a lot of times it may be connected to their upbringing. They grow up in a home where almost everybody don't see beauty and shape as anything. Now, if that is your background and it's your mental and emotional configuration, you will have no problem. But in this age and time where girls, the way they dress, the way they look, the kind of money they spend to want to look good, guys even spend more money to look good than girls these days. I think you understand where I'm going to, so I will rest my case there.
All right, beautiful thoughts there. Now, I like that point where you said these sparks are not always going to be there on first instant.
No, not at all.
There will be occasions where somebody is not making sense to you in terms of looks and romance, but as you keep having conversations with them and interacting with them, you begin to see or notice certain things that you didn't notice or see before,
Yeah.
and then they begin to make a lot of sense.
Yes, sir.
A lot of people have thrown away a lot of nice people just because that initial connection was not there. Yet this person represented what it is in every other dimension, except for this spark is not there. Let me continue to use your words. Let me continue to use your terminology. And so a lot of us have given up on, in fact, you might have had some ladies say they keep attracting a certain kind of guys, guys who take advantage of them, guys who mess with them, guys who are unkind, guys who are this, guys who are that. And almost a lot of times, it's their positioning and their mindset and their values and their belief system and their preferences that tend to make them continue to attract the same kind of person. And so because they don't, as a matter of fact, for some of these ladies, maybe even guys, once the person doesn't look like it, they don't even let the conversation start. They don't even give the slightest opportunity to pay a little more attention, because if it's not there at the beginning for them, then it's not there. There was a quote that was um, said to have been said by the lady Mary Mitchell Celesso. I've not been able to verify if she exactly said that, but for the purpose of this conversation, it was said of Mary Celesso that she said, marry first and love will follow. Now, there are people who have argued that if it was not there at the onset, you don't want to gamble with it. You don't want to mess with it. I've also had people who said, if you let a guy and a lady sit opposite themselves, look into their eyes for 4 unbroken minutes, that it could lead to a connection and give birth to this spark. The question I'm asking right now, do you think there is a chance of attraction, romance, and bonding to develop where it was first? Do you really think where it was first absence? Do you think we should be that scared of getting involved in a marriage? Or put it differently, is it a risk to get married and hope this spark will come? Are you recommending that they must wait first and confirm that the spark was a possibility before they say I do?
Thank you for the question. While you were talking about people who say there is no spark, so they throw away everything, it dawned on me that I forgot to mention something. Sometimes, a lot of times, really, what we define, it's important. Let's remember I said romance is a feeling. Feeling are sets of pictures we convince ourselves is good or bad for us in our minds. It's important. I'm going somewhere. You see, feelings, it's a creation of sets of pictures and thoughts we convince ourselves is good for us or bad. We convince ourselves. There was a generation, sir, where only fat people were seductive. The generation changed. The slimmer you are, the prettier you become. Man has not changed. What changed? The environment. Our perception. So a lot of times, what we call spark, a lot of times are products of the environment we find ourselves. If you go to certain parts of the world, no matter how beautiful you are, people almost don't see you if you don't have a good family background. They see you as a chaos. So you see that, and after a while, even you will think more of your family background than your beauty. Why? Because the environment is dictating it. Also, I noticed that these old feelings things, spark things, are common in women that are 33 years and below, men that are 45 years and below. As life deals with you, as life unfolds you, you start looking for something way more tangible than feeling. You start looking for something that will last. Why? Because as you get older, you have less friends. Your lane is a bit more narrower, and you depend less on what environment or Hollywood or Nollywood is dictating for you. Now, why did I have to begin this way? For the purpose of foundation and context. Of course, as you get older, you will find out that in many ways, that spark doesn't necessarily need to form the base or basis of a long relationship. Oftentimes, everything you call sparks are things that are transient. They are passing, particularly if your spark is born out of looks. Even if your spark is born out of the fact that the person cracks joke a lot, the day the person would have a ghastly accident, that joke will stop. So there will be more to that person than that spark. I told you we cannot underestimate the role of spark, but marriages that survive long term is not built. It can start with a spark, not built on it. And to answer directly your question, can it start on core values and you find your spark? Absolutely yes. When I met my wife, when I met my wife, the first 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times I met her, what caught my attention with her was there was no spark that has to do with beauty. All the beauty came in after I registered my interests. I started seeing her beauty after I registered my interests. So I totally agree and I concur that spark can come in as you go on. I will put it in another way, and this is funny. Do you know that if you live in the same house, this is a serious philosophical fact beyond this platform on relationship. Do you know that if you live with a killer in the same house, every day, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, he may be a killer outside. There will be traits that you like about him. Because no human is all bad and no human is all good. So you can see that beyond spark, if you see values, you can build relationship on it any day, anytime, and the spark will follow. That is my firm belief.
Profound thoughts. And I pray that anybody that watches these videos or these things that we share, I pray that they're able to look at the thoughts that are shared here and be able to understand where these thoughts are coming from. This is so important. The reasons are because when I look at Isaac and Rebekah's marriage in the Bible, Isaac only met Rebekah physically when that marriage has been fully contracted on the primary basis of core values. Somebody went there, used a parameter to define the kind of woman he wanted, and then brought the lady because she met certain basic value system. And then as soon as the lady was brought to Isaac, he received her into his mother's tent, and then he loved her.
In fact, the
And
Bible
then when you look,
comforted
go
him.
ahead, sir. And she comforted, the kind of comfort that he could never get since his mother passed on. That comfort came from this woman. And Isaac and Rebekah's marriage continues to be one marriage that is, in fact, between Abraham, Sarah, Jacob, Rachel, and Leah, there is something unique, if you ask me, about Isaac and Rebekah's marriage. And the intimacy. One time, was it whatever that king's name was, saw Isaac through a window, fondling and caressing his Rebekah. The romantic connection between Isaac and Rebekah is so profound that it was captured clearly and presently in Scripture. That tells us the profound possibility of that spark playing out, even when it was. In fact, what is interesting about Isaac and Rebekah is he never cited this lady until she was delivered to him.
Yeah.
Therefore, it is important that listeners of this conversation realize that some of the gifts in persons that God is going to bring your way are not going to look like it on day one. They're not going to feel like it on day one. You might need to dig a little further and then you'll be able to get there. There is a saying, and I pull it from that your last statement, where you said you can live with a killer long enough and begin to like something about the killer.
Yeah.
It has been said that nearness breeds fondness. There are relationships, if you don't give them the opportunity to start or flourish, you may not find the fondness that you are looking for.
Very true. Very true. Very true.
In the same vein, there is also a risk. The risk is that if you stay close to a killer too long, you might start falling in love with a killer.
And even become a killer yourself. And even
I'm telling you.
Killer yourself. I totally agree.
Absolutely.
Totally. I think for me, if you are the sort that finds a spark, don't reject it. Jesus was talking about the Pharisees. He said, woe to you, Pharisees, you tithe up to your herbs and you don't do good. He now said, give attention to this. He called it weightier matters without foregoing your tithes. Now, in the context of his expression, as big as tithe is to us in this generation, to him it was infinitesimal. Weightier matters are taking care of the poor, helping the needy, be there for the widows. In the same vein, in this conversation, spark is like the tithe. Core values are the weightier matters. If you see the spark, take it. But if it is not there, build on the weightier matters. Build on the weightier matters and always remember feelings are controlled. They come, they go. It be like switch. See where I am now. This is it. You see the difference? This is feelings. This is it. It comes and goes. It comes and goes. They are not static forever, but values. Yeah, values are there forever if it is well built into you as your foundation from your parental home. And you come together and now build your own core values for your relationship. So yeah, I totally agree that in the overall picture, core values should always come before the spark or the romance. But it does not in any way diminish the place and importance of romance.
Two more questions before we go tonight.
Yeah.
If you found yourself in a situation where there is this person, the spark is there, the values are not there. There is this person, the values are there, the spark is not there, and you can only go with either one, which one will you go with?
A boy that is below 25 or below 30 will go for the spark because he wants to impress his friends. He wants to make statements. He wants to prove a point. And if those young men will hear this tomorrow, spend more time with the one with the values. You will eventually find your spark. There's a reason why I say spend more time and I didn't say go for it. Because I find out that a lot of times with us, we humans, whenever we have 80% of all we want in someone, for weird reasons that I still can't grasp, we start crying over the 20% that is not there. We know it's 80%. It's like almost full package. Instead of us to be grateful, celebrate that and tell us if it's just 20% on a scale of 1 to 10, I am at an advantage. We are busy saying, Kai, the Ikebe no big rich. Kai, if only this Ikebe big. As though the Ikebe will give you money at home. So this is why I say if you spend more time, over that time, you will appreciate it. So as a direct answer, the one with the core value always favors you in the long run. There's a story that I would have shared, but it's still in the public domain. The person involved years ago sought my counsel. He's a public figure. Told me I have two ladies, true life story. I have two ladies. One turns my brain. That one makes my blood boil. The other one, even my mother said, this one doesn't have all that spark, but this one will be good for you. He said to me, I love the one that turns my brain. But the other one, I know she'll make a good wife. It's just no spark. Guess what? He married the one that turns the brain. And less than 6 years, the marriage packed up. So, in the long run, I would say it. Why am I emphasizing it? Because I have been young before. As a counselor, I talk to a lot of young people. They may or may not admit it. All they think of is to make a statement to their friend. Oh boy, you na better Coca-Cola you catch. That's all they think. Make money to prove a point. But if you can rein your passion and excesses, spend more time with the one without values, you will not regret you did.
Spend more time, not
Yeah.
necessarily go ahead with the person.
No, just
Spend
because
more time.
because I cannot overemphasize the place of valuing and appreciating what you marry. Remember, there's a generational shift. You said something about Isaac. Sir, everything you just said about Isaac continued for over 3,000 years, where your parents arranged for marriage. You trust their judgment to know better. But there's a generational shift. And with the generational shift comes cultural and environmental influence, which is what I'm saying. What Isaac did worked perfectly. It still works till date. But our mind don't see that. Imagine, Apostle, you are 6 feet, and I bring a girl who is 3 feet 4 and tell you she has all the best characters. You will believe me, but your mind is asking yourself, how me and this one go take waka for road? Maybe even at your age now, you won't mind. Imagine a person that is 25, wanting, he's 6 feet, and his father said, the best I can find for you, the best character is 3 feet 4. You will say your father hates you. Your father does not want your happiness. Why? Generational shifts. But there was a time, it doesn't matter. Can she give birth? That's what they'll ask. Is she resourceful? That's what they'll ask. Is our family influential enough that will advance my social and political career? That's what they ask. So these are contractual, but the times has changed. And in as much as I love the old time religion, we cannot help but remember that we are in another time. In as much as we love the old time religion, we cannot help but realize that we are in another time.
I'm afraid our time is up,
Yeah, I know.
but this gets more interesting. I wish I could ask you,
Yes,
in
sir.
any relationship, which one is better higher? The spark the lady feels or the spark the guy feels? Which is better?
I don't understand the question.
Now, spark levels in relationship. I'm now talking about um, polarity in romantic feelings. In some romantic relationships, the man feels the spark more than the woman. In some, the woman feels that attraction toward the man more than the man. If you were to advise, do you think in a relationship where the man loves more, if there is anything like that, and in the relationship where the woman loves more, which is better?
Okay. My answer may be a bit controversial because our time is up. I'll try to keep it short. I think the honest answer is it depends on how they are brought up. Let me explain. A lot of people believe that if the man loves the woman more than the woman loves him, the chances are extremely high that the woman will cheat. And they believe, I'm saying they believe, that when a woman cheats in relationship, it unsettles the home completely. On the other hand, if the woman's love is higher than the man's love, or the woman's spark is higher than the man's spark, the woman's energy, the woman's push will always want to remind the man to come back home. But in reality, it depends on the individuals involved, because it is neither here nor there. Some men are crazy. The more you love them, the more irritated they become. The same goes for the woman. There is no clear-cut distinction in this. That's why I say, if they are well brought up, if the man loves more, the woman sees it as an opportunity to want to reciprocate. If the woman loves more, it breaks the man to want to commit. I would permit me share this story, true life story, and maybe you can close with it or add something. A woman married a man who was the village gigolo. True life story, village gigolo. Every time, in this case, you say the woman loves man because every time this man collects his salary, he's in the local brothel. It got so bad that even the ladies he was sleeping with was coming to tell the woman. And every time they tell the woman will say, my husband is better than that. My husband is good. And every time the man comes up, he gives the man food, prepares the man's water. The man bathes. He did it for almost 1 year. At some point, the man became afraid to even eat at home so that the woman will not poison him. But true to it, the woman did everything. One day, without preaching, without speaking in tongues, without going for night vigil, the man changed. The man comes home early. The man eats his food. 6 p.m. is at home. He doesn't go out. The girls from the brothel will see him on the road and they will call him. He will ignore them. His friends now asked him one day, how come we don't see you in the beer parlor again? He said, for this 1 year, everything I do, this woman believes that I am better than that. Everything I do, I have looked in and out. She has refused to think less of me. I think it's time I start behaving like who she sees in me. And that's how the man changed. So you see, it depends on the characters involved. I rest my case.
Wow, Dr. Bernard Andrew has always been such a profound blessing, one of our facilitators in the Clarity Challenge and in the Love Life Institute. Every time we call on him, he's always there to share profound thoughts with us. And it has always been a blessing. Thank you so much for being
having
part of our conversation. As your final words, what 3 core values do you think people in relationship, especially those about to go in, since we are asking them, don't ignore the spark, but prioritize values. What 3 values do you think they need to pay close attention to? Those are your parting words. Thank you, sir.
honesty, honesty, mutual respect, honesty, mutual respect, and creating time for each other. Remember, their core values. Don't allow your wealth to change it. Don't allow your poverty to change it. No matter where you find yourself, at whichever level, learn to be honest with each other. No matter how young the girl you married or how young the man you married is, learn to have mutual respect. That she is a full-time housewife and you are the billionaire. You saw her, you chose her. Respect her, whether she has children or not. Create time. When you lose that time for each other, certainly your relationship will start to crack. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. That means no matter the spark you feel, if there is no honesty, be careful. No matter the spark you feel, if they don't have time for you, be careful.
Mhm.
If this, no matter the spark you feel, if
If there's
any
no,
of these values are absent,
there
it
will be
might
problem.
just be a red flag
Yes, sir.
and not a green flag.
Yes, sir.
Wow, thank you so much. For viewers out there, if you have questions, contributions, feel free to leave them on the Facebook comment section, and we look forward to responding to them. Once again, Dr. Bernard Andrew, thank you so much for being here. Did I forget to ask you how is your wife doing and the kids? I
Everybody's
know
doing
they're
well.
all
Thank you
doing
for asking.
fine. Thank you so much. And
Thank you, sir.
thank you. God bless you.
Yeah.